Ever wonder what it's like to get shot in a bank robbery? Well, I can tell you because it happened to me. The year was 1991. I was 20 years old. I was going to San Jose State and I was working at Bank of the West in San Jose as a bank teller. I got my station open and started accepting customers. I would say about 15 minutes into my shift, a man walked into the bank that I hadn't seen before. We did have a lot of regulars in this area. He was wearing a trench coat on a very warm day. It seemed a bit out of place. He had the choice of 3 windows when it came to his turn. He came to mind and I felt a sinking oh shit feeling. I acted like everything was fine, smiling, "Hi, how can I help you?" but still feeling like something was off. He pulled out a little paper bag that was rolled up, folded up basically, and pushed it towards me. And then he pulled out a handgun. It was silver, that's all I remember. I saw the gun and looked at him and he said, "Just be calm and give me your money." I was roughly 2.5 feet from him. I stood up out of my chair because we had high chairs that we sat in, and I turned my body to open the drawer, the cash drawer, because they told us no heroes and don't ever push the panic button when somebody is in the bank robbing it because it could create a hostage situation. So I stood up, put my key in the drawer, and my left hand was just hanging free. And as I opened up the drawer, put the key in it, I heard a pop behind my head. What that was the echo of the gun behind me in the building being shot. Even though I realized I was being held up and there was a gun pointed at me, I didn't put it all together in that moment. It's like an out-of-body experience, it truly is. I looked down at my left wrist and I had 2 fresh bullet holes in my wrist, one going in, one going out. I looked at him and he had the gun pointed on me still, and he said, "Just be calm." I started handing him all of my cash as I bled all over it. Other tellers were handing him cash as well, and we were all just in a state of shock. He had all of the money stuffed in a paper bag and he walked out. My manager locked the door, and we obviously called 911 immediately. Oddly enough, there was a doctor in the bank at this time getting a new loan, and there was a nurse inside using the ATM inside. So they were there immediately right after. But the paramedics showed up really quickly after that because we were just right down the street from San Jose Valley Medical Center. They laid me on the bank floor, started cutting off my clothes, and I will tell you the pain on my wrist felt like my hand was in a bucket of ice water because the bullet had nicked the main nerve in my hand. I remember being really embarrassed to have my entire body shown on the bank floor by all the people that I worked with. I'm gonna need a part 2 because they found another bullet hole. So part 2 of my bank robbery story. So the paramedics laid me on the floor. They cut all my clothes off, mortified, even though I was in pain. At this moment, it's really hard for your brain to understand what's going on. It's like with any traumatic kind of out of the ordinary injury. I was just going to work, and 15 minutes later, here I am shot on the floor of my bank. And so my brain is not catching up with all of this. It's just, you're kind of in this just survival. It's like whatever is happening is going to happen. And then you just kind of go with it because you don't really know what else to do. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I was very quiet. I was in pain. I basically just went with the flow. I didn't pass out or anything like that. So what they realized when they cut my clothes off is that that bullet had actually come out of my wrist. That is the exit wound right there, and had gone into my chest. It went upwards, and then it hit a rib, and then it came out underneath my arm. Thankfully, that just chipped a rib. That was it. Thankfully, that's why we have ribs. It protected my lungs. Otherwise, my lung would have collapsed. So my hand is in major pain. I'm naked on the floor. They get me in the ambulance, take me to San Jose Medical Center. He, by the way, walked off on foot. They didn't find him for another 5 months. He ended up robbing a bunch of banks from San Jose to San Francisco before they finally caught him, and he did go to jail for 27 years. He was released in May of 2017. His name was Curtis Blackwell Jr., and I did go to his sentencing. I did pick him out in a lineup, but back to the medical part of it. So I went to San Jose Medical Center, or Valley Med. They just sewed up my injury here. Everything else healed on its own. I have some slight nerve damage from the bullet going through my wrist. I received no compensation for this. If I had been a teller in the bank, I could have sued Bank of the West, but workers' comp covered the bank. it covered their ass actually, because I wasn't able to do anything because of workers' comp. So that's basically all it was workman's comp injury. I just spent one night in the hospital, went back the next day. This actually happened right before spring break, so I had a week to kind of like rest up and get better, and I went back to school on time. I couldn't really, I'm left-handed, it happened in my left hand, so I just wrote right-handed for about a month until my hand was more usable. I did not need any therapy or anything after this incident. I don't know why. I went back to work there about 3 months later and worked for another year at the same location. I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was personal. The one question that I'm always asked is, why did he do it? Why did he shoot you? And I will never know why. I actually wrote to him when he was in jail just to let him know that my life went on and I was okay. And I don't know. I wasn't upset about it. I really do feel like it was just a freak accident. But I do think maybe the gun was, already in a position where if you just barely touch it, it'll probably go off. So I think that's what happened. I didn't do anything to startle him. I followed all of his directions. So it was strange that he shot me. Yes, I will show you my injuries, but before I do that, I'm going to show you my bullet. It came in this cute little box. I got it back from the FBI. This is my bullet that went through me. It was a 38 hollow tip. You can see right there where it hit my rib, more than likely. It didn't flower open, which is what these are supposed to do. They're supposed to put a big hole in you, but I think because we were so close in proximity, it didn't do what it was supposed to. But it's pretty heavy. It feels like it's kind of weighty. Okay, this is my scrapbook. This is me at home at my mom's, recovering with my little wrist wrap there. Here's one of the articles. San Jose Police, Jim Overstreet, woo woo. He was on the case right away. Channel 36 interviewed me. I ended up going to work for them after, which was kind of cool. This is my manager, Margaret, who was obviously distressed. Some more articles. Cop seeks man who shot teller, escaped with cash in noon holdup. This is him, Curtis Blackwell Jr. Calm robber, shoots teller, flees with cash. Bank robber is a suspect in 8 other heists. Yes, he robbed many more banks. So here's my hospital bracelets. I took this with a disc camera. Unfortunately, I didn't have a phone camera back then. This is, a long time ago. Here's my chest injury, but it was sewn up. So that's all the bruising. And then wrist injury again. And there's my exit wound on my chest. And more of the chest. That's it. Those are the only pictures I took. All right, this is how it went down. I was facing him. I turned to open the drawer. He went in the drawer. My hand was like this. The bullet went in here and came out on the other side. So it went in right there. It came out about right there. There's like it's hard to see it, a little cross. And then it deflected up. It went in right there where the shiny part is. And then it came out somewhere under here. There's like a little spot. That's it. And here's a cute little note that my mom left with my bullet. It says, Jen, Lee is my middle name, by the way. Jen, we went to the movies. Your bullet is here. Love, Mom. Okay, so shockingly enough, he did not spend a minute in jail for shooting me. He was in jail 100% because of the robberies alone. So it's a federal crime if you rob a bank, and it's worth a mandatory 7 years in prison. So under federal law, they were able to get him for way more than if they were to just do the state law with my shooting. I know it's kind of confusing. It's fine. Like, they explained it to me that day. They said, we're going to go for the federal charges because it'll put him in jail for a really long time, versus like going for just your shooting. Like, they had to be 2 separate things apparently. So, this is the FBI telling me this the day of the sentencing in San Francisco. And I was like, sure. I mean, it was fine. It didn't really bother me. I was alive. I was going to be fine. So I didn't know this until the moment it happened. But the judge, who was female, when she was sentencing him, and I was in the courtroom with my parents and my boyfriend at the time, and I hadn't seen him since the day it happened, other than the lineup. But like, this was the first time like we'd made eye contact. She made sure that he knew I was in the courtroom. She said, the woman that you shot in San Jose is here. She basically told him how she felt about it. And she said, I want you to turn around and apologize to her. So it was like everybody was dead silent. He turned around and he was trying to find me, and he just said sorry. And I was just so unexpected. I didn't know he was going to do that. So I just said nothing. I remember I just like froze. And that was it. He went to Lompoc down south in California to the federal prison, and he spent, I think, about 27 years there. I did write to him at one point. He never wrote back. So I don't know if he just didn't get my letter or what. And I had also mentioned in one of my other videos that if I had been a teller, what I meant to say is if I had been a customer, I would have been able to sue the bank. But because I was a teller, the bank was protected by workman's comp. So yeah, that's it. It was rude. It was super rude. And I do remember, you guys are helping me jog my memory. I do remember saying to him and not looking at him, looking down at the cash drawer going, well, I guess I gotta do this because he's not leaving. And I just kept saying, please don't shoot me again. Please don't shoot me again. Cause like, I don't even understand why you did this one time. I was just about to give you the money. So yeah, I do remember that too. I forgot to say that. I know I have covered this in several of the videos, but I don't know why I keep getting this comment like over and over again. Why did he shoot me? Because I stuck my tongue out at him. I don't know. I will never know why. I was doing everything he was asking. I hopped up right away and put my key in the drawer. Like the money was on its way. As soon as I put my key in the drawer, the gun went off. Like it made no sense. My brain was like scrambled eggs in that moment. It was like, what the fuck? I was just about to give you the money. Like, why did you just shoot me? So yes, it was super confusing in that moment because I was doing everything he'd asked. It's like lickety split. I couldn't have been any faster. But yeah, he chose to shoot me and be super calm about it right after and just kept saying, be calm. Just give me the money. And I did. So yeah, I don't know. I did write to him, but I have a couple of fun memories from the day that I was shot in 1990 at Bank of the West in San Jose when I was a teller. When I went to the hospital, they called my mom. You know, there was no cell phones back then. So they called my mom at her place of business. Her and my stepdad owned a optometry business in San Mateo, which is about like a half an hour away or more. And anyways, they put her on the phone with me and she could hear that I was okay, but she was very upset, obviously. So they're driving to go see me. And of course they heard about the story on the news. It was on AM radio. And then I found out later that my dad and my stepmom had also heard it on the news. Of course, they didn't say my name at the time. They just said a woman had been shot. They kept my name private until he was caught. Anyways, as far as like news interviews. But then when I was at the hospital, a lot of my friends from college were showing up. Obviously I had roommates and I had a boyfriend at the time. So he showed up and then word got to my boyfriend before him. It's somebody I had dated my freshman year for like most of like my freshman year and second year in college. He showed up at the same time as the current boyfriend. And then someone else who was a friend of like all of the friend group, but no one knew it. We had kissed and done some stuff, but nobody knew it but us. So 3 boys in the hospital room with me at the same time. It's a really fun memory, honestly. Yes, Jim Overstreet was just awesome. So him and another detective they came into the ER almost right after I arrived. And it's like I remember the feeling is that they felt bad that they needed to interview me about like getting a description because they knew I'd been through something traumatic less than an hour ago. And so they were trying to be really careful. And they said, you know, we're so sorry. I just remember them being so kind and like apologetic for having to like bombard me in the ER like right after this happened, but they needed me to look through a binder full of pictures of guns and give them an idea of what it looked like. And so honestly, I think at that point the morphine had probably kicked in and I was feeling fine. And I thought it was badass. I was like, this is so cool. Like, I'm so glad I can help. And so, yeah, and the picture of him that I'd shown in the video that's attached to this was from Bank of America. He had robbed that like less than a week before, which was probably a mile from our branch. So we were sort of like, we were aware that there was somebody that had not been caught yet. So that probably is another reason why I was like felt off when he walked in. But we didn't have any cameras at our location, so it was just going by the description of everybody that saw him that day in the branch. So, but yeah, Jim was awesome. He was there for the lineup. He was there for the sentencing. He would check in with me periodically after all of it was over and just, how you doing? And, just the nicest guy. Yeah, exactly what you'd hope for. Yeah, the best. So, yeah, I have full use of my left hand. It's all fine. I just have a little bit of like funny feeling in between my fingers here, and like the palm of my wrist is a little funny if I touched it with like the end of a pencil or something like that. I had to go to a workman's comp doctor who put needles into all of my fingers, the sides of my fingers. And that was all connected to a machine that set a little surge of electricity into my hand. And they had to do it stronger and stronger and stronger. And somehow it read the disability or like the lack of nerve or feeling in my hand. It was a very painful, kind of traumatic experience, honestly. But it rated my nerve damage at like a 2%. So that's all. No, my hand totally works normally. I know that comment was supposed to be funny, and it is. A lot of people have asked why they cut my clothes off, and I didn't specify it. They didn't cut my underwear off. They cut my bra off because of the chest wound, but they did cut my skirt off from J. Crew. It was patchwork, super cute, and the bank did replace my outfit. But I was basically just laying there with only underwear on, and my bra was cut off, so it was embarrassing. I was 20, and I worked with like one guy, and I didn't want him to see me naked. I remember that. But they have to do it. They have to make sure that you don't have any other injuries. And, obviously it was the right thing to do because I had been shot through the chest and didn't know it. That was a weird realization. It was like, and I had a white shirt on. And I didn't know. It was kind of like loose. But yeah, they cut it off and there was 2 wounds right here. So it's good. They did that.